Just about 39 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock. Welcome back to the Now Morning Show. Now, Alcoholics Anonymous, or AA, has been in existence in T&T for the past 66 years. AA began in 1935 in Akron, Ohio, and today they have a presence that can be found in approximately 180 nations worldwide, with a membership estimated at over 2 million people. There are more than 123,000 AA groups around the world, and AA's literature has been translated into over 100 languages. And this morning, we're going to be bringing it home because we have the chairperson of the board at AATT, Ms. Christine Seecharan, and Trustee A at Alcoholics Anonymous TT, Dr. Surendra Dhanraj, joining us to talk more about alcoholism and Alcoholics Anonymous. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now, I know I took some of your information already in terms of what AA is and who AA is, but I just wanted you to give a context as it relates to T&T in terms of how the organization started, maybe, for example, and the sort of impact we've been seeing thus far.
Well, we started AA in 1956, and our first meeting was actually held at St. Mary's College in Port of Spain between Stanley and Reggie. It was supported by Father Brett and Dr. Michael Bourbon. That same year, we had our second meeting, followed with an advertisement in The Guardian, where explaining to anyone who needed help with alcohol, if they had an issue, that there is meetings available in Trinidad. Since then, the impact we have had thousands of members of Trinidad and Tobago gain sobriety. We have over 100 different groups right now with approximately 1,000 members.
I want to understand, is across Trinidad and Tobago that the AA is?
Yes, okay. Across Trinidad and Tobago.
Right. How often do you hold meetings?
It's every day. It's every day. You can log on to Zoom meetings if you can't make a physical meeting, or you can have a physical meeting. You can check our website where you can see listings of the meetings as closest to you and nearest to you. Or you can call our national office for information.
Can you just remind us of the website that people can go to?
It's aagso.org.
Now, people have often heard about alcoholism and they have termed it a disease. And Doctor, I'm coming to you. Is alcoholism a disease, and how is it different from, let's say, a viral disease?
Okay, so good morning to everyone, to the viewing audience. It's indeed a pleasure to be here. I mean, with alcoholism, I mean, alcohol, once it enters the body, is going to have an effect. And the spectrum, it's across the board what sort of effects it's going to have, to the acute effects, so there's the immediate effects versus, the long-term things, which then leads into diseases that can occur. And basically, it's depending on which organ system might be more affected, those diseases might manifest more readily.
Which ones are more likely to be affected?
Well, I mean, obviously, top of the head, I mean, for alcoholism, the liver. That's the main organ that detoxifies and gets rid of the alcohol. And alcoholic cirrhosis is probably one of the big ones that we're going to hear about. And that's really that damage to that liver, and that's the main disease. But it affects all organ systems. The brain, alcoholic dementia, it can affect, different other systems. Can bring on diabetes, that's a big chronic disease. So, it's a big spectrum. Yeah.
Now, apart from the diabetes, which stays with you, for example, if it affects your liver, is it irreversible? Are there anything you can do to get it back as healthy as it was before?
So the liver is a remarkable one. It has a really great potential to repair itself. But unfortunately, with alcoholic cirrhosis, it really does damage the tissues there, and it would permanently affect once it sets in. All right, I mean, we may be able to prevent further deterioration, but once certain amount of damage is there, it's going to be hard to reverse. So that's why, I mean, it's really to get this under control as soon as possible. Yeah.
Just for us to understand, Doctor, who is an alcoholic? Is it the person who takes a drink over the weekend? Is it a person who is constantly drinking? I mean, is there a sort of definition, you would say, for an alcoholic?
So we use definitions in medicine to quantify an alcoholic. But I mean, based on the philosophy of Alcoholics Anonymous, I mean, we don't want to entertain even one drink, because it's not only just a gateway, but from that first drink, it does have effects on our body. And everybody has different levels of susceptibility, and it would impact from immediate, loss of inhibitions, coordination difficulties, and actually more, even breathing issues, coma, even at high levels of alcohol. And unfortunately, I mean, when you think about it, sometimes with binge drinking, you can have so much alcohol in the system before it really starts to take that effect. And, that's the scary side of things. So, I mean, from our philosophy, I mean, we don't want to entertain any drinks. But, an alcoholic, again, across the spectrum, I mean, and because we are all so different, it would have different impacts on everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So then does it affect you based on your health as well? So for example, a slim person may get maybe inebriated quicker than somebody who is a bit more, on the hefty side, that sort of thing. Does it affect people differently based on weight, based on age, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think you're quite correct there. I mean, what we normally use is the blood alcohol concentration, and that would be affected by someone's weight, the ability to metabolize that alcohol, age as well, and other chronic diseases would affect that. So you're quite right. Blood alcohol concentration would be that main tool we use. So, but intra and out as well. I mean, what I would like to highlight is, I mean, we have these breathalyzers out there. The concentration in blood, I mean, we don't take blood samples, so we use the breath alcohol concentration, which is a little bit lower. So if we understand...
A little bit lower in terms of...
The range.
Okay.
In the sense. So if we have, let's say, 10 parts circulated in the blood, some will be excreted in our breath. And that's why somebody who is, under the influence of alcohol can smell of alcohol. But what is excreted will be just a portion of what is circulated in the blood.
So it might be, so if you take a breathalyzer test and you get a certain reading,
Yes.
it might be actually, you might be more inebriated than the reading is showing.
The level in the blood will be
Yes,
higher.
yes.
So the level in the blood is 0.08%, and for breathalyzer test and trainer it's 0.035, so lower than the 0.08. So yeah, so just to understand that, we read the literature, if we don't understand the context, it could be a little bit confusing. Yeah.
I'm coming back to you, Christine, because I know that we were talking about the meetings that we have across T&T. What can you expect when you go to an AA meeting?
Well, when you first go to an AA meeting, you are not expected to share. But really what AA is really a group of people that share their experiences, their strength and their hope to help deal with the alcohol problem. So you don't have to share, but other people will be sharing their experiences. And of course, you will relate when you're talking to them. All right? And of course, it is a disease that is known as a non-curable disease. However, with sharing that experiences, you help to alleviate the obsession one day at a time. Yeah.
We've often heard about the 12-step program. I know we might be able to touch on all 12 steps now, but give us just a little bit about it, and in terms of what is the expected impact if somebody's an alcoholic and they're going through that 12-step program.
Well, what is the 12-step first, and in a summary form? It's just really a group of spiritual principles. If they practice it as a way of life, they can live a usefully and wholesome life. So really, the first step really is admitting that you have a problem. Admitting that you have a problem. And then you go through that whole spiritual journey. And it's something very, very nice. Even non-alcoholics can use it because we all have addictions in different areas, right? So that is a summary of it. And once it goes through that recovery program, it helps them to live and reintegrate back into society and contribute very positively.
Yeah. Now, I've often heard people question or challenge the 12-step program because they think it's linked to religion.
Right.
Is it linked to religion? Is it something different? Can you just speak some more on that?
It's not really linked to religion per se, and we don't, in our meetings, we don't talk religion. We just talk about that spiritual journey that you go through. Right, so even atheists can be part of it, or any religious beliefs, because we have a wide range of members in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah. And if I have a family member who I suspect is an alcoholic or who drinks constantly, how can I get them to, submit to the program, to admit that they have a problem and be on that road to recovery?
Well, first they have to admit that they have a problem. So if you call us for help, did you have a member of a family that has an issue, we cannot do anything until the alcoholic or the person in question admits that they have a problem and they want to do something about it. because sometimes we admit, but we don't necessarily want to do something about it, or we don't have the courage to start to want to do something about it. Yeah.
Now, Christine, I'm not sure if you or Doc can speak about this, but apart from the alcoholic themselves who are going through the issue, there's the family members as well who's also suffering as a result. Does the AA provide any sort of support for family members as well, or is that something separate that you as a relative of an alcoholic will need to seek on your own?
We have the Illinois group, which is the family members of the alcoholic itself. And they do share in their experiences as well, because they would have gone through trauma as well, because as you know, alcoholism is not really an individual disease as well, it's a family disease, as well as it affects the entire community.
Yeah.
So we do have that support, but of course it's separate from Alcoholics Anonymous.
I'm coming back to you, Doc, because we were talking about the sort of range, the spectrum that you mentioned. People will argue that T&T is a liming culture, right? And so because we have drinks every weekend or we're partying on Thursdays, it doesn't mean that I am an alcoholic. But there's also the conversation that has to be had in terms of a functioning alcoholic, somebody who is an alcoholic, but they function well. They go to work, they pick up their children from school and that sort of thing. So I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that, because is it that I shouldn't be termed an alcoholic because I drink every weekend because it's part of my culture? Is it that I shouldn't be termed an alcoholic because I'm still functioning? Like, where do you draw the line and realize there's a problem that you need to address?
So, I mean, labeling someone an alcoholic, I mean, that's, you know, some stigma attached to it. But if we take it in the context of the work environment, and it's usually a zero tolerance approach to alcohol, because alcohol has an effect on our functioning. It impairs our ability to think rationally. So while somebody might think they are functioning, I mean, it is impacting them. And, you know, in times of critical decisions that might need to be made, or safety issues, zero alcohol would be that sort of approach. So, I mean, when somebody labels themselves a functional and alcoholic, I mean, what does that really mean? And who is the judge of that? You know, we all have different capabilities, and it's really on how we harness our mental capacity to function. But we would try as best, I mean, to not have any untoward influence within our system that might affect that. Because we never know, we out there and, you know, you're called upon to respond to an emergency or an accident, and you want to be able to respond. So, I mean, based on the philosophies of Alcoholics Anonymous, I mean, yeah, there are a lot of labels out there, but I would say from a physiologic point of view, our functioning, I think it's really, you know, you should not have that influence in the system. Yeah.
I just wanted to add that not everybody that takes a drink is an alcoholic. So this is based on our literature now, not based on a medical point of view. Is when that obsession starts. So you see yourself starting to think about a drink right through the day, during work, during family outings, you know, and you're looking for that reason to take a drink, all right? Because not everybody, of course, we know that, not everybody that takes a drink is an alcoholic, right? And when, you know, some key points when you look at, it's an obsession. So you start to lie about taking a drink, especially the close people to you. And those are the signs you need to look for. Yeah?
Now, Christine, before we go quickly, is AA free? If somebody wants to find an AA meeting closest to them, is that a free
Yes,
service?
it's absolutely free. You come to your meetings and you share, of course, and you listen to other people sharing. Membership is free to those who are willing to do something about their drinking problem. However, we are self-sustained by the voluntary contributions of AA members themselves. So, of course, to make the recovery program possible, we do get voluntary contribution from the members themselves.
Nice. And finally, anybody who needs to contact the Alcoholics Anonymous in T&T, how can they do so?
They can do so with our numbers. We are 229 AATT, which is 229-2288. We also have a WhatsApp number, 339-7249.
Well, Christine and Dr. Dhanraj, thank you so much this morning for coming in and just sharing, of course, the health perspective and, of course, what Alcoholics Anonymous is. And I'm hoping that anybody there who needs the assistance will be able to reach out to the association to get on that journey of recovery. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the audience.
Of course. You're on the Now Morning Show. We're going to take a break and be right back. Stay with us.